everybody's ready. I'm Bill Snowden of the Wakulla Sun. This is our forum. We have school candidates for school superintendent and for school board later. Just to explain the rules to the audience, we're going to start with 2 minutes for introduction from the candidates. They can talk about themselves and why they're running. And then we'll start with the questions. Candidates will have 2 minutes to reply, and we will alternate who goes first. So we'll start with Rick Myhre for your introduction.
Ready?
Yes.
Look into the camera. So it's being broadcast, live stream,
Yes.
correct? All right. So good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Myhre, candidate for superintendent. I think the most important thing that people want to know, why are you running, right? Why are you here, and what really drives you? And I think for me, the biggest thing that all of us probably have in common is just the kids, right? I mean, you shouldn't be running for superintendent if you have motives other than taking care of the children of Wakulla County. You know, the trust that our parents put on the teachers, on the principals, on the administrative staff to take care of their kids comes before everything else. As a former U.S. Army infantryman, the safety and security of our kids means absolutely everything to me. You know, learning's important, the outcomes, the student outcomes are important, but safety means everything. If the kids don't come home at the end of the day, we've absolutely failed. It is all about those kids. Now, what do we do with those kids while they're here? That's where the content comes into play. We have to be teaching them the right things. You can look across the country, you can see what other school districts are pushing, you can see what other states are pushing, and I will tell you the morality in this country is scary. We're on a scary trajectory, and I think that when I'm out there in the community, what I hear from parents, what I hear from community members is, how are you going to ensure that our kids are not being exposed to the wrong things? So I'll tell you that that's another huge priority to me, is making sure that our kids are exposed to the right content. And then how do you get there? You get there by taking care of your staff, right? I mean, we cannot get there without our teachers. As I said earlier, the trust that we put in our teachers is paramount, and we have to do everything we can to protect our teachers, to compensate them appropriately, to protect them when they're in their classrooms, and to ensure that they are prepared as possible to serve those kids. So that's what I'm here to do. I think that God has given me talents that enable me to give back to this community, and I just want to put those at work to make our kids' lives better. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Payne, and I am running to be superintendent of Wakulla County Schools. I'm fairly young as compared to my opponents. You know, that has been a question that's been brought up, and people ask me, why do you want to run at such a young age? And the answer is simple for me, because we have seen teachers leave this district in massive numbers because they're not being compensated fairly compared to surrounding districts. Their health insurance is going up, which that in turn causes a teacher shortage. It causes overcrowding in classrooms. It causes, disciplinary issues, and kids' education, that their learning is suffering. And that's where I have a problem. As a classroom teacher, when I cannot effectively teach my class because I have 24, 25, 26, 27 kids in my class, something has to be done about it. And we have teachers leaving, we have bus drivers leaving, custodians, secretaries, administrative assistants leaving because they are not being treated fairly. They're not being treated adequately. They're not being paid fairly. And that starts with a culture change. And that culture change has got to start at the top. We have gotten here over probably the last 15 or 20 years. And in my young age, I think it's going to take my career to get us back to where we need to be. So while I don't have the administrative experience that some people would like a superintendent to have, I do have a master's degree in public administration, which several other superintendents that I've talked to throughout the state also hold the same degree.
10 seconds.
So I think there needs to be a culture change. And we need to care about our teachers, our bus drivers, our kids, and everybody. Thank you.
And hi, I'm Ricky Strickland. I'm running for Superintendent of Wakulla County Schools. Currently, I'm the Educational Program Director for the state of Florida. I've been the state lead for autism for the past couple of years. Prior to that, I was an elementary school teacher at Medart Elementary School. I care deeply about our students in our community and making sure that our students are supported, our teachers are supported, and that comes through the proper administration of our resources in Wakulla County. Currently, I'm a doctoral candidate in the field of educational administration. I have experience at the state level running large programs with really big educational budgets. I have specific training in the allocations of educational resources, and I am willing to put my entire being into serving these students and serving our community. And that takes teaching, transparency, and trust. We gotta have teachers who are supported, that have a benefits package that ensures that they want to stay here and teach in Wakulla County. We need transparency. Transparency from our district to our community, ensuring that the community understands that they can support the schools and that the schools are there to support the community. And then that would build the trust. We need that trust within our community to ensure that our students are successful. Thank you.
And I wanted to also note that the role of the superintendent and the school board doesn't overlap. The school board, the superintendent is in charge of the administration of the schools and personnel. The school board sets policy and approves the budget. But there are areas that overlap, and you will hear some of those because they deal with the same issues. The first issue, and we'll start with Mr. Payne, the number one issue that, as far as questions that were submitted by readers, is health insurance. Healthcare premiums for district staff have dramatically increased in the past 5 years, causing many teachers to seek employment out of Wakulla County. What is your specific plan for reducing healthcare costs?
So my plan is simple. We're gonna cut unnecessary administrative waste. We're gonna start at the top. We're gonna start looking at positions that may or may not need to be there. We're gonna evaluate whether or not they need to be there, and if they don't, guess what? We're going to minimize our wasteful spending. We have got to start putting money back where it counts, okay? For me, that means we gotta look at administrators in that district office up there that has become very top heavy and very overstaffed in the last, 10, 15 years. I can tell you from when I was a kid going through school, there weren't that many administrators up there. So why are there now? It's a simple question. I can't answer it because I can't get an answer out of that district office. When, in terms of how would I address it, saving money where we can. Why are we spending money paying administrators that could be in a classroom? Why are we paying administrators that, that they are doing the duties that one person was doing 10 years ago is now split to 3 people? It's a simple answer. I'm still waiting for it. So that's my short answer, is cutting administrative waste and finding money where we can in the budget.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes, so educational finance and teacher benefits has been an issue in Wakulla County for a long time now, including with me. In my own personal experience, I could not afford to have full coverage insurance as a classroom teacher and be able to pay my bills. It pushed me out of the classroom, sadly. I was a devoted elementary educator and actually loved it. And we're going to continue to lose well-qualified teachers because of these benefits. So how do we solve that problem? Well, we've been working on that problem for a long time through collective action. Teachers and community members, including students And families went to the legislative session last time here in Wakulla County and advocated for benefits through lobbying efforts. We need a superintendent that will stand with those community members and teachers in telling our lawmakers that we need additional funding for our teacher benefits. And when we get that, it doesn't just affect teachers, it affects all of our district employees, because they're all on that same healthcare coverage through CHP. Another thing that I would like to do is make a commitment over the next 4 years to increase the contribution that the district makes to our insurance package by making it in alignment with the other community agencies. We should not be paying less than the sheriff's office for our benefits. Another thing that I would like to do is, of course, look at our entire budget. Our budget is a confusing Wakulla County Schools budget. In fact, not long ago, our school board members actually requested a special workshop so that they could better understand the budget for themselves. So we need a clear budget that all community members can look at it, understand what it says, and it shows a return on our investment. Our hard-earned tax dollars, we should know where that money is going.
Thank you. Mr. Myhre.
So, as far as the specific plan, before I get into that, I think that all Americans need to recognize that the Obamacare has been a complete disaster, and our pathway to fix insurance is to vote Republican this fall. If you look at the cost of healthcare across the country for the past 12 years, it's been absolutely outrageous how fast that's risen. And it's rising faster than what we're being increased of our funding. So we have to do some creative things in order to take care of business that's not being taken care of for us. First of all, each and every year, we should be going out as a district and assuring to our community that there isn't a better rate out there. It's something that we do occasionally, but we don't do consistently. What we may find is that there isn't a carrier that's going to offer us a better premium package. But I think that our constituents want us to, well, they want to know that, right? They want to know, is Florida Blue a better plan? Is that a better plan? That's the first commitment that I have as superintendent, is to make sure that the package that we're selecting is the best price for our community. We may find that if you have to switch doctors, our staff don't want to switch. And that's not a decision that I would make autonomously. I think that's something you ask the staff. Do you want a cheaper price and have to switch doctors? Let's let our staff vote on that. But once we get the cheapest plan and a variety of plans that we can choose from, we do have to reduce spending in other areas. I think that a line item budget that enables us to redirect funds and to grow the percentage of our annual budget that we put towards insurance is something we have to do. The more people that are on our plan will impact the amount that each person gets. That's just a reality. But we should understand that as our budget increases, we need to also assure that each and every year the percentage of that budget is going towards insurance. We have to know that that's going to be something we have to account for. So where do you cut that? Again, this is where the work and the collaborative work with working with the school board, my expertise will come into play to help the school board make those important decisions. It's not something the superintendent does by themselves, but my leadership will enable us to make those tough decisions.
Okay. The next question is something of a follow-up to that. I'm not sure. A reader wants to know, will you commit to hiring new negotiators for the school board healthcare plan? Mr. Strickland, you're first.
So it's not necessarily the negotiators that is the problem. It is the district contribution to our insurance plan that is the problem. All of our other districts in our area all pay about the same amount for CHP insurance. And that's just not school districts, that's pretty much every agency in our area pays about the same amount. The issue is that Wakulla County Schools pays less of a contribution to the insurance and benefits package than those other agencies. We have to look at our budget. We have to make some cuts. We have to ensure that the money that we're spending and each and every single budget line item is accounted for so that we can then find where the wasteful spending is. And then we can also look at our return on investment and then make investment allocations towards those benefits packages. And until we can get in alignment with the other agencies within our area, we're gonna continue to lose teachers and lose bus drivers, lose our paraprofessionals. I've heard stories of paraprofessionals that are pretty much just working for their healthcare insurance, and that is unacceptable. We need to ensure that we are in alignment with all of the other local agencies in that district-based contribution to our insurance package. And then that would help to alleviate some of that problem. Teachers do not go into education, bus drivers do not go into education, and paraprofessionals do not go into education to become rich. But they do expect to have good health care where they can go to the doctor and afford it. And they do expect to have a good retirement. And we need to provide that. And I will ensure that that happens with every single ounce of breath I got. Thank you.
Mr. Myhre?
So I believe that the question was, will I commit to hiring a new negotiator? And so the process for me for that is to create an RFP with approval of the board, that what the board wants to see in a negotiator, and request proposals from different negotiators and evaluate those proposals to assist in recommending that to the board. I don't think that's something that the superintendent just goes and says, I like this person, I don't like this person, you're out, you're in. That's not the sort of leader that I am. I think the most appropriate way is to work collaboratively with the school board as to what they want to see in a negotiator, have those negotiators propose things, and then we'll pick the most appropriate and the best value that we can find for our folks.
Mr. Payne?
So I will not promise a single thing on this campaign trail. Any politician that does is writing a check that I'm not sure they can cash, and neither are they. 100% honest. I do believe that it is something we should consider every year, or every time their contract's up. That's something we should consider, because we have to do what's best for our teachers, our bus drivers, our custodians, our maintenance workers, everybody, including what's best for the kids. When we're not, we're paying an excessive rate in insurance, that's money being taken out of the classroom, trying to money that could be given to the kids. So would I consider it? Absolutely. But like Mr. Myhre said, it's not up to the superintendent as a whole. It's up to the board too. That's where you have to collectively work with the school board. Mr. Strickland brought up, I forgot it now. Oh, you brought up, collective bargaining and all that, and trying to put in more towards the premiums. We need to do that. We really do. We have to. Yep. Teachers are paying more than what the district's paying right now. The teachers, the bus drivers, custodians, everybody that's on health insurance is paying more than what the school district is paying. So, is it something I would absolutely do? I'm not gonna give you an absolute. I'm not gonna make you a promise that I don't know I can keep. I would never do that.
Okay. You can probably guess what the next issue of concern is. This was our second area of concern with submitted questions, is teacher raises. Since the minimum beginning teacher salary has been mandated by the state, equitable boosts in salary for veteran teachers has not been implemented. What's your plan for raising the salaries for veteran teachers in order to retain their expertise? And how will you ensure that new teachers don't end up making more than veteran teachers? Mr. Myhre.
Yep, so that's a great question. I think that it's something that people need to understand, that when the governor decided that it was the priority to boost beginning teacher pay and to make Florida a leader in that, there were constraints that were given with some of the money. And there were constraints that were out there that districts had to follow. And some districts got there faster than others. Wakulla County is about one of the 30 districts that doesn't have an additional millage for teacher salaries. The districts that do have that additional millage, they were able to reach the 47.5 threshold much earlier, and they were able to then utilize that additional money for their veteran teachers. Up to this point, Wakulla County has not made it to that 47.5 yet. I think that there's going to be some optimistic news coming forward, but we don't know exactly yet what the next budget is going to say. But as soon as we do reach that 47.5, it's going to open up the door for the district to utilize funds. And I think that question is great. I mean, experienced teachers, veteran teachers, they deserve to be making what they're worth. They deserve to be paid for their years of experience. It's just unfortunate that the Florida statutes were written in a way that have constrained all Florida school districts, not just Wakulla County, in this. But certainly, I recognize the value of experience. I recognize the value that our teachers have that have been in the classrooms. And there are certainly things that we can do moving forward once we reach that 47.5 to offer them a better, again, this is negotiations with the union, negotiations with the board. So superintendent shouldn't be saying, so to Mr. Payne's point, this is exactly what can happen. I'm just telling you the process. Until we get there, our hands are tied, but I think our hands are about to be untied very soon.
I'm sorry, Mr. Payne.
So, out of the three of us sitting up here, I'm the only one living on a teacher salary. We're making $45,500 was our baseline salary after the contract negotiation was done last year. The unfunded mandate that the governor sent down was $47,500. Everybody knows that. We're still $2,000 shy. He just signed a $1.25 billion allocation for the state of Florida to give the TSA, the teacher salary increase allocation, $1.25 billion. I would like to see 100% of the share go to the teachers to get everybody to 47.5. Once everybody gets to 47.5, then we need to start looking at our veteran teachers. We need to look at the ones that have been in the classroom for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We need to implement another step in lane schedule again, instead of teachers being paid the same salary from year 0 to year 22. I'm not the same teacher I was when I started. Why am I making, the baseline salary still? Why am I still making what a new teacher is coming in fresh out of college? Why is a 20-year teacher still making what I'm making? So the simple answer is we got to take that money that we're given by the state for the TSIA money, and we have to allocate it. We need to get all of our teachers, we need to get everybody's salary to 47.5, and then we need to start spending it. We are restricted by how the money is given to us. I forget the exact allocation, the exact calculation, but we are restricted that veteran teachers can only receive a percentage of what new teachers do. So, like Mr. Myhre said, there are stipulations to it. It's not just free money, here you go. There are some stipulations to it that we have to negotiate, and it's a complicated process. But I do think that, we can take that money, we get everybody to 47.5 rather quickly, not by cutting teaching positions like I've heard through the grapevine. Yeah, I've heard that one coming too. Okay, so we gotta make sure we're spending our money wisely, and we gotta get it to the new teachers, get everybody to 47.5, and then get our veteran teachers even higher, what they're worth.
Mr. Strickland.
So Mr. Payne made a great point. Collective negotiations for educational contracts is very confusing. The Florida statute does state that all teachers in a school district must reach $47,500 before they can start just making other contributions based on the percentages for our veteran teachers. Hopefully everything looks optimistic from what I've heard through the grapevine on our statewide allocations to Wakulla County Schools, and maybe we will make it to that point this year. That being said, I have had experience in collective negotiations in educational contracts. I've been conducting those things for many years. It's going to take certainly work on the district's part to ensure that they are making those negotiations clearly and expressing the information to the union officials so that they can make determinations on how that money should be spent. Over the past few years, allocations for veteran teachers were given, but it had to be based on a percentage. I feel very confident in once we do make it to the 47.5 that more money can be spent on those veteran teachers to keep them here in Wakulla County. Unless we make those investments in those veteran teachers, we're going to continue to lose them. And those are the teachers that we need to count on to train our new teachers coming into this district. We have so many wonderful veteran teachers that have left Wakulla County over the past 10 years that you guys would be shocked. These teachers were amazing educators, and now they're at the Department of Education. Now they're in Leon County Schools. They're in places where they were able to make more money and have better benefits. We need to make sure that we get those teachers who have been here for years more money so that they'll stay here in Wakulla County.
time. And that's perfect. That leads to the perfect segue to the next question. What initiatives will you introduce to attract and retain highly qualified teachers in Wakulla County? I believe it is Mr. Myhre.
I go first on that.
You went first. That's right, Mr. Payne.
So retaining teachers starts with their pay, their insurance, and making sure that they have an administration that's got their back. When they go to their principals or their assistant principals or whoever, and they've got an issue with a community member, then they need to know that their administration's got their back. And that's one thing, I want to start that culture at the top as a superintendent. I want to have the back of every teacher, custodian, bus driver, maintenance personnel. I don't care who you are, what you do in the school district. If you work in the school district, we ought to have your back, 100%. Because when somebody's got your back, you know that you're going to be taken care of, and you're more likely to have their back. So retaining personnel is obviously been a struggle. They don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad management. You see that across the state, and we're seeing that here. We're seeing it because of pay, because of insurance, because there is no transparency coming out of the district office, because when they ask questions, they're shut down, they're stonewalled. We've seen it time and time again. I hate the fact that teachers are leaving, going to Leon County, but you ask them why? Health insurance, their pay. How do you fix it? You gotta start paying them more. You have to increase your allocation or your contribution to their health insurance premiums. You've got to take care of the people that you want to take care of you. And that starts with a superintendent that cares about their job, that cares about the people that work for them, and cares about the community that they serve.
Teacher recruitment and retention is certainly key to being able to have a supported school district that can teach our students. It starts with, of course, retaining the teachers that we have. We will do that, of course, by ensuring that they have adequate pay and benefits, but it also is the support that they receive. As a Wakulla County teacher in the elementary school world, I was actually very supported. My leadership was there whenever I needed anything. All I had to do was contact my principal, and he was there and supported me every single step of the way. And I am very proud to say that. But that isn't the case for every single teacher that I've talked to in Wakulla County. We need to ensure that every single teacher that you ask that question to says that same exact thing. And it takes investments from our administrators into working with those educators to say, hey, I'm here for you, I'm here to support you. Now, to recruit teachers from the outside, well, that's easy. We have a lot of educators in Wakulla County that are not in classrooms because they went to other jobs, they went to other places. With a good benefits package and fair compensation, we will be bringing back a lot of those teachers to Wakulla County schools. I can think of a few right now off the top of my head. It also, we need to ensure that our administrative positions throughout the entire district are the most highly qualified individuals. When we have individuals who are qualified, experienced, but they are not to get jobs in Wakulla County because they are not friends with certain people, or because they have not, they have done something that made someone else angry, that is unacceptable. We have to ensure that these highly qualified individuals within our community that want to serve our community as educators have that opportunity.
Mr. Myhre.
So there are some myths out there about teacher retention, teacher recruitment. So the most recent data that was released by the Department of Education does show that Wakulla is right there aligned with the state average. So we're not the only ones that are facing a retention and recruitment problem, but we certainly want to be the best at it, right? So just because we're not the worst right now doesn't mean we don't have room to recruit, which we certainly do. One of the biggest things that I think that we should improve in our district is our image. We have a marketing problem. We have phenomenal teachers. Our teachers are out there every day just giving of themselves to our kids, and we don't do enough to highlight that. I think that if we do more to highlight the excellent things that are going on in our classrooms right now, we dispel the myths and we silence some of the loud voices that are just attacking us unnecessarily, you're going to see people want to join this team. It's something that unfortunately the senior leadership in our district so far, they haven't embraced this new world of social media. Everyone else around the country is doing it. I went to a different district to learn from the former assistant superintendent in Miami-Dade, and the Miami-Dade social media machine is amazing. And that's stuff that I can bring to this district to highlight the already exceptional and excellent things that are going on for our teachers. Teachers, listen, I know I've been in your classrooms across the county. You're doing great things. We need to celebrate you, and we need to let you showcase the great things that you're doing. When you bring in new teachers, you've got to mentor them. They need that structured level of support because teachers are most likely to leave the first couple of years if they don't have strong mentors. That's what we need to do to keep them in the classroom. So again, a lot of the other things have already been said. As far as how you retain, you certainly have to have a culture and climate that makes people want to be here, but it does start with your overall image. And it's not just glossing over things and making them be false, it's telling the truth. This is an exceptionally great place to be a teacher, and it's an exceptionally great place to raise your family.
Mr. Strickland, you
Yes.
first this time. Do you support expanding technical and career programs, and what programs would you add?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. And yes, of course, we need to provide opportunities for our students, technical and career training and programs for our students. That leads to job opportunities, college readiness. Those programs are certainly what Wakulla County Schools needs. We already have programs and investment in these programs that are currently going, and we need to continue those investments. The Triumph Grant has trained hundreds and hundreds of our students in career and technical education and also given them certifications. We need to continue that effort, and it also takes teacher training in those different programs, giving those teachers the ability and opportunities to teach those technical and career opportunities to their students. We need to definitely integrate that into all of our middle and high school programming. When I went to middle school here in Wakulla County at Wakulla Middle School, we had a technology class, and I learned so much from that technology class, and now I'm very proficient in technology, and it has helped me throughout my entire career to be successful. I was a land surveyor for 15 years prior to going into the field of education, and Wakulla County Schools technical programs prepared me for those challenges. And I 100% believe in just continued investments into those programs, and then, of course, utilizing grants such as the Triumph Grants. Thank you.
So I think we need more road construction workers. Is that an appropriate thing to want to add to our schools so we can get some of these roads finished faster? But in all honesty, the state has a process that every district goes through every 2 years called the Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment. And we just finished going through that. And during that process, what you do is you look at the labor market demands, jokingly aside about the road construction, but you look at the number of jobs that are available in the region. You look at the programs that you're offering, and what's expected of us to utilize the Perkins Grant is that we align the programs we offer to what's needed in the area. Again, that's not something that the superintendent does autonomously. You don't go in there and just say, I think we need more road construction workers. You're supposed to work collaboratively with the experts in your region, with Career Source, with the people in the fields, and they make recommendations to our high school staff as to what programs that we should sunset. Sometimes you find that you've had a program that everybody loves, but there are no jobs for those folks. And we should be adding programs where our students can get jobs in this region. It's all well and good that there are high-paying jobs in San Francisco, but we need to prepare our students for the jobs that exist here. And that's what we really honestly do. Kudos to the staff at Wakulla High School. They do a phenomenal job. For being the only high school in this county, the number of programs that we have, it's amazing. I think that if you go to other counties of our same size, you will not find the number of programs and the number of opportunities. And that's a level of commitment that this leadership, that the school staff have made towards our kids, and it's just an exciting thing to watch. So we're gonna have a soft launch at the beginning of the school, and there'll be a more broader open house for everyone to see that new building coming up in a couple months. It's phenomenal. It really is. But again, it's not the superintendent's job to just pick and choose programs. The superintendent assures the process is led correctly to work with our stakeholders to align our programs to the market demands.
Mr. Payne?
So I want to echo Mr. Myhre for a second and say that that building back there is immaculate. The Triumph Gulf Coast grant that we got is a little over $20 million, to which the school district matched $18.9 million, if my numbers are correct, if my memory serves me correctly. Maybe a little fuzzy, it's been a long day. But the CTE programs are absolutely wonderful. I've seen kids come to school that wouldn't otherwise be there because of the late welding instructor, Mr. Roscoe Grant, or our HVAC program, or our digital design program, or now the diesel mechanics, and all these different CTE programs that we're getting out of the high school. It's awesome because kids that otherwise wouldn't be there are there. I was fortunate enough to grow up with a dad who was in the blue collar world, if you will. I grew up doing that. I know what it means to be in that world. I also know that kids are in record numbers now, I would say, by my own eyes. They're not going to college. They don't want to go to college. They realize that that's not for them. Sitting in a classroom isn't for them. Give them something they can do. So welding, carpentry, HVAC, diesel mechanics, marine mechanics, anything we can get them. Two things that I really think we need to look into, maybe it's a labor market thing, is plumbing and masonry. We've got construction workers around here. We got houses going up left and right. We are growing. This ain't the quaint little town it was when I was a boy. It's growing. So maybe we need to start looking at those jobs. There are jobs out there, and I agree. We need to start pumping out, kids that if they know they don't want to go to college, cool. Let's get them ready to go be contributing members of the workforce. If they don't want to do that, let's get them ready to go in the military. Let's give them the tools they need. And if it's CTE, cool, let's do it. I love it. I love the programs because it gives kids a pathway to success. It doesn't dictate success for them.
Okay. Okay. There's been a cultural shift in the past couple of years where schools, school boards have gotten a lot of attention, and parental control has become a catchphrase. How will you ensure that parents and community members have a voice in decision-making processes that affect the education system?
So we're here for the kids, right? But the community was here for the kids before they gave them to us, right? The parents were the ones that are handing and entrusting their kids over to us. So they absolutely have to have a voice in this. They have to. I love it when we have community members that aren't parents that want to be involved in things, but if I'm being honest, whose opinion matters the most? The parents' opinion matters the most. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't want someone else telling me that they have a better idea of what's going to go on for my two sons that are in our school district. I just don't. It insults me, and I can see why other parents are insulted by that. But it does take the entire village. It absolutely does. What we're here to do as a public school district is to assure that our values and our morals align to that of this community. And there's a lot of opportunity that we have with the Parental Bill of Rights that this state has passed. There's been some landmark Supreme Court cases that have passed thanks to the presidential appointments of some correct Supreme Court justices. And I'd like to bring God back into our schools more. And that's not me pushing it on somebody else. That's enabling parents to say, that's what I want for my kid. And if a parent wants that for their kid, then that parent should get that for their kid. And if a parent doesn't want that for their kid, we'll make sure that that's not there for your kid. We're not going to push that on anybody else's kid. But there's definitely an opportunity for us to create magnet programs, to create pathways where parents can assure that the values and the morals that they have in their households and their churches are replicated in our schools. That is the pathway to fixing public education in this country, is to involve the parents, to involve the communities, and to not have bureaucrats in Tallahassee or Washington push their agenda on our schools. I think our teachers are ready for that. The teachers want to see that. The teachers want to return to morality, and they'll be happy to incorporate a lot of these opportunities for our parents to ask that of us.
Mr. Payne?
So when I worked in the legislature as a legislative aide, I worked for a state senator that was a champion of education. And when I disagreed with that senator, I would respectfully go into his office, especially when it came to education. And I mean, mind you, he was an educator himself. So we would have an open and honest discussion, and that's what it comes to, is we as the community need to be able to talk about our issues. We need to be able to have those discussions, and whether it is physically or proverbially, I will take the office door off its hinges. That way I can never slam the door in your face. That way I can never shut you out. Because when we come together, if somebody has an issue with me, I tell them to come to me. If somebody has an issue with the way I want to run the school district, if I'm the superintendent, come to me. Pick up the phone and call me, email me, tell me. Don't just tell me, hey, you have a problem, tell me why, and tell me how I can fix it. You can whine about a problem, or you can try to change it. Be ready to come with a solution if you're gonna tell me why you don't like it though. That's why I'm running for superintendent. I don't like the way things are being done, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm getting off my butt and I'm trying to change it. The parents have to be the leading voice in their child's education. I hear kids all the time at the high school saying, oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. Well, why? Well, my parents don't like it. Okay, you need to have an open and honest discussion with your parents. Why do they not like it? How do you truly feel about it? We have to get back to the roots of coming together as a collective community and working together. We can't just sit here and say, this is what we're gonna do and expect it to be done. And you're absolutely right. We can't be governed by bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. and in Tallahassee. But unfortunately, state statute really ties our hands in some things. So that's where we have to take the fight to them. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to go back to the Capitol and fight with them too.
Mr. Strickland.
We're all lucky to be here in Florida where parents have rights. And we have an abundance of those rights, and we have an abundance of say in the education of our children. Educational options, and then also a say in the curriculum that is provided to our students is a part of our Parents' Bill of Rights. We need to ensure that parents understand that and have opportunities to view the curriculum that they're seeing or that their parent or the children are learning. We need to have workshops. We need to provide opportunities for collaboration with parents and community members. I would like to see quarterly workshops with school board members and with district office personnel, with principals and teachers and parents, so that we can talk about the issues. Things such as bullying, things such as the dress code, things such as provided opportunities that the district has for students. These are the questions that parents have been asking me for a long time. And honestly, they should have a say in those things. Parents need to have a say in the policies that we pass in Wakulla County schools. And that comes from community input. And it starts with us having those opportunities to meet with those community members. So I am certainly committed to quarterly meetings with the community where it is an actual open discussion rather than our school board meetings where, based on the rules of the school board meetings, you can voice your concerns for a few minutes, and then oftentimes you get a phone call back. We need an opportunity to have lengthy conversations about the issue, and then find solutions to those issues with our community leaders and parents. And I am certainly committed to quarterly meetings with our community.
It's going a tad over time, but if we can get to this last question before close. What is your, we'll start with Mr. Payne. What is your long-term vision for Wakulla County School District, and how do you plan to achieve it?
So obviously I'm the youngest candidate, if you can't tell by looking, so I'm hoping that I have a very lengthy life here. I'm not calling you old or anything, it just, I got called a baby face the other day. So I hope to have a long and lengthy life. I was born and raised here, and I hope to spend my entire life here. I really do. My wife and I are expecting a little baby girl. I want to raise her here, and I want to make this school system something that I am proud to send my child to. I know when I walk through those hallowed halls of Crawfordville and Shadeville and Wakulla Middle School and Wakulla High School, they were among the best in the state, and I want to return them to that status. Not the 100% graduation rate, because we put kids in credit recovery and we give them 17,000 opportunities to pass, put them in a classroom and teach them. Don't just kick the can down the road and make it somebody else's problem. I want to actually churn out good, contributing members of society when they walk across the stage and receive that diploma. I don't want to just kick the can down the road, give the kids a certificate of diploma, a certificate of completion, and say, here, you're out in the world on your own. I want to achieve greatness in its own right, not inflated, 100% graduation rate because kids are, being coddled and walked across the stage.
Mr. Strickland.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm still a fairly young guy, Mr. Payne. And I'm sure Mr. Myhre feels the same way. But that being said, all jokes aside, my vision for Wakulla County Schools is, of course, teaching transparency and trust. We need to have qualified teachers that are supported by our administrators that are in those classrooms ensuring that the standards are being taught and that those students are learning. Over time, we will see learning gains when we have qualified teachers ensuring that those standards are taught. Transparency is needed. We have to be transparent with the community. We have a wonderful community here in Wakulla County that supports our schools. When you have a football game, we show up. Whenever we go travel to football games and you show up there, we will oftentimes outnumber the home team crowd, and that's because our community loves our students in our schools. We need to use that strength, and then we need to build off that through transparency. And that means putting forth a budget within Wakulla County Schools that every single citizen can read and understand. We need a return on investment report for that budget so that every single community member knows what their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent on. And then that's going to, in turn, build trust back in our schools. Our community is going to know that we are educating our students through teaching and that we are being transparent in how we are doing it. And then that is what a good school district looks like. And I am certainly willing to put forth the effort in doing that for our community. Thank you.
So I think if you've been paying attention to educational politics and the shift in things, school choice is the way of the future. And so if you ask me what's my vision, what's my transformational, what's my future vision of this district, it goes back to the question about parental choice. Moving forward, parents are going to have more and more opportunities to take their child where they feel their child is best served. And so what we should be doing is recognizing that and creating more and more opportunities to market ourselves and to create pathways where the parents feel that the school and the classroom that they're in is exactly what their child's needs. We're not back in the 1960s where one size fits all. That's just not the way that this country is going to be, that this state's going to be, and this community is going to be. So what does the future look like? The future looks like a classroom where each teacher is able to showcase themselves and the great things that they do, and parents have an opportunity to place their student where they feel like their needs are best met by the teachers. You were going to see more charter schools pop up. We're going to see more private schools pop up. That doesn't bother me. The competition there, it's great. It just makes me better. It makes all of us better. That's the beauty of capitalism. That's the beauty of our country, is people being able to be innovators and to bring the right things. So as I said earlier, for me, would love to see an increase in faith-based education within this community. I think that other people would want other things. Great. Let's see that also. That's how we please people. That's how you assure that people are happy where they are, is by giving them options, not by telling them that this is the way that you have to do it. So my vision of the future is more opportunities and more choices.
Now we'll bring it in for landing with the close. You have 2 minutes. Mr. Payne? Strickland.
Oh, closing remarks.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to first thank everyone for being here in attendance, and then, of course, all of our citizens watching online. Thank you for joining us and watching this information. I would like to say that I certainly would hope like your vote in the upcoming election. I am a proud educator, and I believe that teaching transparency and trust is needed within our school district, and I will work throughout every effort to ensure that those three things are implemented within our school district. Thank you very much.
So this is not the fifth grade class president election, right? Those of you that remember those, everybody promises longer recess and better lunches. Right? That's not what this is about. Florida and Alabama are the only two states in the country that elect their superintendents. And in Florida, only about half of the districts elect their superintendents. So you guys, everybody that I'm looking at and everybody that can hear my voice, you guys get to be the board here. You get to be the ones who choose. So you need to understand what you're picking between three great choices, but for you as a voter, what makes the difference? Your choice is the future of our children. And I will tell you that I have the experience, I'm at the peak of my career, I've put in the hours, I've put in the time to get to a position where I know how to fly this plane. It is not a risk. I know exactly what needs to be done. I'm willing to work with the community and the board. It's not just me, it's not just my decision. I have the skills that are necessary to help this board get this district where they need to be. And you guys get to be the ones that decide whether you agree with me or not. But it's a very important role. I ask you guys to look at it and take it into deep consideration because it is kind of special that in Wakulla County, the community still gets to select their superintendent. Thank you.
So I want to echo both Mr. Strickland and Mr. Myhre's point of thank y'all for being here. This is a huge thing. Being able to elect a superintendent is your voice in democracy. It's your voice in how our school system is handled. And I think when you look at the school system and the direction that you want it to go, I don't think you need to look at the next 4 years or the next 8 years. I think you need to look at the next 20 or the next 30. You need to look at the one who just started their life and, yeah, look at what I've done in the short time since I've graduated from college and I've become a teacher. Look at that and look at the potential I can achieve. And I want to take this school district from where it is now and I want to restore it and take it back to the top where it was when I was in school and where some of you were in school, if you were lucky enough to go here. It starts with a culture change. It really is. It starts with a leader at the top who cares about the people who work for them and work with them and work alongside them. And I can honestly tell you that every student that has ever walked in my classroom knows that I care about them. They know that I will take care of them, but I expect them to care about me. I expect them to take care of me because that's what we as a community do. And we've got to get back to that. The superintendent's got to care about the assistant superintendents and the principals and the assistant principals and the teachers and the custodians and the bus drivers and the parapros. And they've got to care about everybody, but they've also got to care about the community that they serve. They can't give up on you. So I want to echo this one last thing, that we do have a school that's often overlooked. It's Coast Charter School. Okay, instead of treating Coast like a redheaded stepchild like it has been for the last 10 years, we need to start looking at it for what it can be. We need to actually start using Coast for what it could be. Yeah, they're independent from the school district, but we can work with them and do even better things for our kids. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you all three for being here tonight and answering these questions. We're going to take a short break and reset for the school board candidates. Thanks.